Craig, you and I are both acutely aware that champagne and sparkling wines really do work beautifully with food. Unfortunately, there's a misconception that it's really just a starter to the meal, and indeed that's not true. So tell me a little bit about your understanding of matching champagne, sparkling wines with food, and then perhaps we look at a few dishes.
Sure. Well, yeah, unfortunately it is often relegated just to an aperitif wine. And it is unfortunate because it is really a very versatile food wine. The acidity, natural acidity, the effervescence, both act to really balance and kind of pair with a variety of foods. What we have here is kind of the obvious: oysters. Oysters have a natural fattiness, which is cut very well with the acidity in champagne. The briny quality of an oyster pairs really well with the chalky kind of minerality of a champagne. So they're a natural pairing. But what we like to do is play around a little bit with the accompaniments. So what we have here are some Kumamoto oysters with a little red beet mignonette and a little horseradish. And then what we do is we try to find a champagne that perhaps it has some unique properties that go along with those accoutrements. So Alfred Gratien is a great producer that uses a lot of Pinot Meunier, so there's a natural kind of rustic fruitiness to it that goes well with the beets. And then they also do some oak aging, some barrel aging, which adds a little bit of an element that pairs well with the horseradish. So it's fun that way to offer yourself some more specific pairings than just the obvious of champagne and oysters.
Right. Let's give that a taste.
Yeah.
Love that.
So you can see it's nice, that little bit of a Pinot Meunier, a fruit kind of goes really nicely with the beets.
And I think, what's fascinating that a lot of people understand, some people may understand that sugar is added into these wines, right. But when many don't recognize that it's actually beet sugar that's added. So, you're playing on a wonderful little jewel of the region.
Yeah, we never actually considered that, but that's
now, what about a second dish? Do we have something else?
Yeah, what we have here is a pheasant breast, and one of the rules, I guess, if you want, for lack of a better word, when it comes to pairing with meats and proteins, the obvious choice is fish of any kind. Champagne is a great pairing with any sort of shellfish, fish, clams, whatever you want to do. When it comes to other meats, you need to stay away from red meat to some degree, especially in the preparation. Char and blood and things just don't grow great with champagne. You need a red wine to really get to that element. But white meats of all kind, poultry and pork, rabbits is a great pair, are natural accompaniment. What we've done here with the pheasant breast is we brined it a little bit with some brown sugar and juniper. Then we cook it sous vide, which is basically cooked under pressure in water in a bag to kind of preserve the essence of the bird, so to speak. And then just seared it off and served it chilled with some wheat berry salad and some figs. Again, the fruit and the wheat element kind of play against that yeasty quality of the champagne and the fruit of the champagne, and then a nice white meat that goes really well.
Well, I think that's great. What I see is that Americans are very stuck in simply working with the proteins that they're comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And while they'll be a little bit more courageous when they dine out, they lack some of that same courage at home. And pheasant is very easy to make. It's a delicious meat, and something that, as you've made it, I love the accoutrement here. I love the complexity of it. The different textures really adds beautifully to the wine. And so we're seeing two things that are very, very different, both which go beautifully with the sparkling wine. Perhaps one more dish to take a look at.
Absolutely. What we have here is some pork belly, and obviously pork belly has seen a new resurgence lately. We see it a lot of places, and it's probably one of my single favorite champagne pairings.
Where the smell is.
Yes, it's done a foie broth.
Beautiful.
It's Oriental style, kind of with some lotus and a little bit of pepper.
And what is the pepper?
That's just a thin sliced jalapeno.
Okay.
And what's so great about pork belly is that unctuous fattiness that you get from pork belly.
And fat is where the flavor is.
Exactly. And it just screams for something crisp and effervescent and refreshing to balance that.
And tell me about the jalapeno, how that's going to interplay with the sparkling wine.
It's very mild. There is, with exceedingly spicy dishes, I tend to go with a slightly sweeter champagne, something a little bit more of a dosage. I really love like a sec or a demi-sec with some really spicy Asian food of some sort. As long as you don't overpower it though, as long as you don't play the bitter against the bitter, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine with a little spice.
This was delightful, great dishes. Perhaps you can send us some recipes
Absolutely.
or other ideas of things to match, but beautifully done.
All right,
Thanks
thank you,
very
sir.
much. Really enjoyed.
Glad you enjoyed it.